Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. I had a comment. So often I should thank people for the comments that they make, because some of them are incredibly perceptive. I learn a great deal. I just posted there about the book that I read called The Case for Christ, and because of the fact that I found it particularly interesting, harrowing in a way, to learn how Christ was treated at the end, leading up to his death. And then Daniel gave us a very informed, with all of the... I say informed because it was all with the references, the various references that you could check up on the validity of what he was saying. So I'm very grateful for the comments, and this comment is no difference. It really shows how differently people view things, and that we are all very much a case of one size doesn't fit all. But we've been watching, if you've been following all of the day-by-day updates of James, you'll have seen that his house is coming along. He's working on it, and then James shows us the overnight work he did, and he showed us on the video how he had built a set of concrete steps, and a beautiful job he had done too. And I said at the time that I said, James, I suspect that you have done this because you've done this particular job, and this. I actually made the quip. I said, "Oh no, it's only perfect," and it was just perfect. It was a set of stairs, and they were fashioned in concrete and then smoothed off, and they were beautifully done. It was a great job, and I said, I suspect that you've taken a break from the other stuff, which is not so rewarding in terms of a finished thing. And I said, I think you did this so that you could see something beautifully finished and perfect. And he laughed, and we both agreed that that was probably true. But anyway, then someone, let me see, Pine TV, it's out in public, so I'm not revealing anything that was sent to me in confidence. And it was on the video. James shows us the overnight work he did, because he admitted that just to get the job finished, he actually finished it by flashlight. So our reader, our subscriber, says, why is James not paying $10 to $11 daily for a carpenter to save his day? He might save paying a carpenter than paying immigration to extend days just to work on his house. I just wonder how long they meet Jessica. Why not spend time with each other to grow the love while he's just only on vacation? I've been friends with my American husband 10 years before I said yes to the proposal, because I wanted to know him more. We are married 5 years, equals 15 years. So it's their life, she says. So he writes it off as, well, it's their life. In other words, implying that they're doing it wrong. Now, to me, the idea, and this is only my comment that on what she has said, the idea that it would take 10 years to get to a point where you would want to marry someone seems extraordinary. And yet she thinks that makes total sense. Now, my response to her, which you can see, it's right below her comment. I said, James and Jessica spend all of their time together. All of their time. She's not sitting at home while he goes to the house and works and just fritters his way fritters his vacation, just fritters it away working on his house. No, actually, James and Jessica have quite an extraordinary relationship in some ways. He has taken on and loves and is loved by her 3 kids. They love him. They call him Dad. Now, they spend all of their time together. Doing what? Well, they're not sort of roaming around having coffee on the chocolate hills and going, wandering around the market. They're working together on their dream house, which overlooks $1 million view. Like everybody says, wow, now that's a house with a view. So they do that. They have quality time together. They're still lovers. They're dedicated and committed to each other. They have family time where they go out and shop for the kids. They go down and eat out in Taliban. And they have a little apartment which is by the school where they go, and when the kids are in school, they'll come here, work on their house, and then they'll go and pick up the kids from school, and then they've got a little apartment which is right next to the school. Am I seeing something wrong here? No, I can't see anything wrong with what they're doing. Now, are they going to take 10 years to get to know each other? No, I don't think so. It was a lightning bolt relationship. James saw the video interview that I did with Jessica when she came back from Manila. And he wrote to her, and they exchanged, like everybody does, they exchanged messages and texts, and I'm guessing going on Kindle, not Kindle, I always get this wrong, Skype. So, video, he said, I'm coming over. And he came over, and that was it. They've been committed ever since. And he goes back and works very hard on his construction business, and then he comes back here and he works with Jessica on their dream house. Can anybody tell me what they're doing wrong? Because I can't see it. I think that they have a pretty awesome relationship, the way that it looks. Now, a lot of people criticize almost anything. And they usually criticize on the basis that something is happening that they personally would not do. But how does that make it wrong? Someone, let me see, what was one of the other comments that came through? Somebody said, why are you using wooden posts on the storage house that you're using? Sorry, you've got there are termites. It's not going to last. Sorry. And he's apologizing for stating an irrefutable fact, because based on what? His opinion. Now, sir, let me tell you something about Nanai's house. Nanai's house is built in exactly the same method as the guest house, in exactly the same way as the house, well, the building that we're putting up now for storage. Exactly the same. Well, now, is it going to last? Let me see. Well, it's lasted 50-something years so far. But will it last? Do they get termites? They get attacks of termites from time to time, yes, and they treat it like anybody else does anywhere else in the Philippines. You get bugs which are going to try to pull down your house in some way or another, and you have to deal with it. But it's all been done before, so it's not like you're going to go into the hardware store and say, I've got this beetle that flies in, and then it's eating the woodwork, and the person says, Oh my gosh, I wonder what that's called. No, they don't do that. Say, oh, you got termites. Here, here's the termite mixture. You put this on and it stops the termites. Is it a forever thing? No. Houses in, and I talked about this before, houses in Fort Myers and the area in Florida suffered from contractors who used Chinese drywall. And they had million-dollar homes that were absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, with pools and granny flats on them and just beautiful. And they didn't last the year because they'd used Chinese drywall and it made the family sick and they had to move out. So, is anything forever? No, I don't think it is. Is it not forever based on your opinion on how you would do it? Like I told you once before, somebody looked at a piece of art that I'd made and she said to me, why did you do the mouth like that? Well, because I'm not you. And James and Jessica are not spending their time paying somebody else to do work that James can do better, in his opinion. Once again, opinion. Because they're not you. They're not going to spend 10 years getting to know each other because they're not you. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Any more than there's anything wrong with the fact that you took 10 years to decide that you wanted to marry that man, who, by all accounts, you have now been happily married to for 5 years. Congratulations. Jessica and James are not you and your husband, and neither are you Jessica and James. Never the twain shall meet, and that's totally okay. Totally okay with me, and I'm sure that it's totally okay with James and Jessica. Just a thought. None of us are the same as any of the others, and the happiest people are those who can say, this is the way that I do it, and so what? This is how I wanted to do it. When I planned on doing my own house, I realized that, possibly like James, I couldn't actually afford to pay somebody else to do it. Now, we lived far from the road, and all of the materials had to be brought up on the sled, the Carabao drawn sled, and it wasn't easy even on that, but it couldn't be brought up by a truck or a car, and it was even difficult to come up on motorcycle. So I made a decision. I spent quite a bit of time in the UK doing drywalling, but I did the metal stud part of it, where I erected everything in metal stud, and then a guy who did drywall would come along and he would drywall it. So my part of it was in doing constructions of metal stud. Now, I know that a piece of metal stud which is 10 feet long, I can lift it like that. It's only cumbersome, but weight-wise, I can lift it with one hand. So when I mentioned it to Timio, he said, who will help you? I said, well, I'm going to build it myself. So how are you going to build the walls? Well, I showed him. If things are so light that you can lift them and make the structure, you can lift it. It's easy. Now, a guy that I used to call Mr. Negative, I said to him, I'm going to build my house now. I said, oh really? I said, yeah, I'm going to build it out of metal stud. And he said, well, good luck with that. And he said that out of pure ignorance. And I said that to him. I said, you know, you're as ignorant as the people here, but they've never heard of Metal Stud. So they're not being as ignorant as you, is really what I was saying. Now, a little bit later, in an effort to prove me wrong, he went and researched it. And lo and behold, he came back to me not very long later after and said, hey, there's a house down there that's built entirely of Metal Stud. And I said, oh really? Fancy that. See, so it's a case of just because somebody doesn't do things like you do doesn't mean that they're wrong. Neither does it mean that they're right. It just means that they're not you. Thanks for listening. This is Foreigner in the Philippines. No offense, of course, in commenting on any of the comments that you send, because when you send a comment in and it criticizes somebody else, then, well, then it's okay, nicely, to respond, which is what I just did. This is a Foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.